So far, the Zillis 14Z, quickest car of the group so far at a 19.539. Bobby Hackle, the fourth, now jumping up the quickest in the group at a 19.344. The Hammond 77H at a 19.519 now. So Hackle the fourth at a 19.293. The Hammond 77H at a 19.322. The Max 71 at a 19.361. The Zillis 14Z at a 19.539. That is Troy Zillis out of Berryville with that number 14Z machine. The invert that has been drawn tonight is a 4. So that means that the fastest car in a group will wind up starting 4th in their heat race, and then the top 4 heat race finishers will redraw for starting positions for tonight's 30-lap 358 modified feature. There's the Brendan Gibbons B24 making its way out on track toward turn number 1. Looks like the Constantino number 44 also making its way out, or excuse me, that'd be the Brian Pesolano 44P. The number 42 headed up into turn number 1. That'll be Tucker O'Connor. Chris Curtis there on the backstretch with the number 35, the 3J. That is Mark Johnson, as they will be the second half of group number 1. Looks like Chris Curtis fastest of the Group A cars at a 19.187. Mark Johnson second quick at a 19.226. The Hackle the fourth 97 at a 19.293. And the Hammond 77H, that is Walt Hammond out of Canaan, New Hampshire, timing in at a 19.322. So utilizing the invert, that means that Hammond would start on pole for qualifying event number 1 for the 358 Modifieds tonight. Group 2A or Group A1, depending on how you want to designate it, or Group B1, I should say, making its way out. Ronnie Johnson with the 2RJ, headed up into turns 1 and 2. The 11 VT of Joey Scarborough is behind him. The number 4 of Anthony Perego is out on track, along with the number 76, Chip Constantino, in the Palmer Service Center car. And final car on track for this particular group will be the 21C. That is the Ingram Engine sponsored entry of Brian Calabrese. Checkers coming out for Group B's first half here. Brian Calabrese quickest at a 19.476. Ronnie Johnson at a 19.41. Anthony Perego at a 19.559. Joey Scarborough a 19.902. And the Chip Constantino car at a 21.008. Looks like the Perego car with a 19.559 kind of nestled in there in that number 3 spot. Second half of the group will make its way out, and that'll be followed by our hot laps for the Stone Performance Street Stocks, and then the hot laps for the Fonda Fair 4 cylinders. Should be Tanner Warner's number 97W up there in turn number 2. The 31, that is Teresa New York's Lance Willix. The number 61, that'll be Dale Gray from Ephrata. The 88H will be Walter Hammond Jr. out of Canaan, New Hampshire. So fastest of these cars is Tanner Warner, who was third quick in a 19.509. Lance Willix in a 19.905. Walter Hammond Jr. at a 19.959. The gray number 8 at a 20.728. So with the invert, that means that Anthony Perego should start on pole for heat number 2. So the online performance parts Stone Motorsports Street Stocks make their way out on track for their one and only warm-up session. Lou Gansars with the 08 machine out on track, along with the number 91 of Matt Mosier. Rob Van Arnhem with the number 71 machine. Matt Wells with the number 39 and the 24V of Jason Samrov. Then our final group of hot laps rolling out. These will be the Fonda Fair 4-cylinder competitors as they make their way out on the racing surface. And again, the Fonda Fair four-cylinder is running a feature-only event here this evening. Combination of the Fonda Fair four-cylinder single and dual overhead cam entries, along with any SCDRA legal four-cylinder cars. Their rollback a little bit different. They're a little bit more than the four cylinders that run here on a regular Saturday night as part of the festivities here at the Track of Champions. Speaking of which, we will be back here this Saturday night at the Track of Champions. We invite you to join us here in person or on FloRacing for $10 admission retro night presented by Holmes and Kugler Towing. It'll be $10 grandstand admission. And then coming up on May the 24th, in 2 weeks, we celebrate Memorial Day weekend with Dollar Night. It'll be just $1 grandstand admission, all divisions in action, plus the Mohawk Valley Vintage Dirt Modifieds and Stock Cars presented by the Energy Leader, Morabito Fuel Group. And then Saturday, May the 31st, to wrap up the month of May here at the Fonda Speedway, the CSRA Sprint Cars will have their only 2025 appearance for those 305 cubic inch winged Warriors. All regular divisions will be on tap as well, presented by Stretches Lawn and Landscape. So once again, if you're just tuning in on FloRacing, in spite of Mother Nature's attempts to put us behind the 8 ball, the skies are glued. We're seeing patches of blue. The track has been run in. Hot laps have been completed. And we'll be getting ready for our opening ceremonies here in just a couple of moments. Welcome to tonight's River Rage program here at the Track of Champions, the Fonda Speedway. We'll start off with a pair of 8-lap heat races for the Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman. And by the way, the Saturday night 50-50 was claimed earlier today, ladies and gentlemen. It was worth just a tick over $2,300, if memory serves me correctly. So we'll start things off with our Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman Heats, a pair of 8-lap contests. Then we'll have a pair of 358 modified heats, one heat for the online performance part Stone Motorsports Street Stocks. Then we'll go right into our Fonda Fair 4-cylinder feature. Then our remaining feature events of the night, 30 laps for the 358 modifieds, 25 laps for the Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman, and 20 laps for the online performance parts Stone Motorsports Street Stock division. And welcome back on FloRacing here at the Track of Champions, the Fonda Speedway. We are just about set to begin our opening ceremonies for tonight's River Rage program. The first time since 2018 that the 350 Modifieds have headlined the program here at this legendary Fairgrounds half mile. We're glad you could join us on Flo. Glad you could join us here in the grandstands here this evening as well. We've got our first heat of Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsmen staged and ready to go on pit road. But right now, let's go down to FX Cabrera Victory Lane and Mimi Lazaro.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Thank you to everyone watching on Flo, courtesy of Dirt Track Digest TV. We appreciate you being here and tuning in. We're happy to be here. It's a little cool today compared to the last couple days, but we're here and we're ready to race. So we're going to make this very short and sweet tonight. If you all are able, if you could please rise and remove your hats. We're going to begin this evening with prayer. Pastor Eddie Harkin is here from the Finish Line Chaplain Ministries, and he is going to begin our prayer. Greg is somewhere following sprint cars. So, Pastor Eddie, if you could please do us the honor.
Thank you. God's mercy is rich and new every day, but you have to believe to receive. And he loves everyone so much that he gave us a free gift. Christ Jesus died on the cross for the remission of our sins. When we believe that and accept that, that gives us access to the throne of God. Then we can apply that mercy to our life every day. Just encourage you, seek the Lord. If you're going through something, he loves you. Seek him. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to be here. We thank you, Father God, for the gift of racing and all those that are involved. Father, I pray for blessings on each person here tonight. Touch a life. Father, if there's any needs, meet needs. Most of all, Father, we ask for your safety tonight. We pray that your guardian angels would be about us, protecting us. We thank you again for loving us. We just look forward to a great night of racing, and we thank you that we can pray in the name of Christ Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
And now, Mimi Lazaro to perform our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the Rockies' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you all for being here. On behalf of Brett, Dale, Jamie, and Denise Page, I'm Mimi Lazaro, and I'm going to send it back up to Paul Small.
All right, thank you very much, Mimi, and welcome aboard, everybody, to the Track of Champions. River Rage 2025 begins with qualifying for the Swagger Factory Apparel Crate 602 Sportsman. And then a redraw for the feature event lineups. All cars will transfer to tonight's 25 Live Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman feature. Starting from pole in heat race number 1 will be the number 1B. That'll be Brett Mortensen. out of Scotia, and on the outside of the front row, Happy Harry Schaefer out of Amsterdam with the 1H. Row 2 inside, Randy Konselman with the 5C out of Gloversville, and on the outside out of Broad Alban, Dave Constantino with the number 7. Mike Kalkbrenner's 2K out of Northville, and Matt Perry from Broad Alban with the 74 make up row number 3. Row 4, your Saturday night sportsman winner Chad Edwards out of Gloversville with the 10%. Michael Ballestero from Saratoga Springs with the number 27. Final row will be Stephen Gray with the number 25, and scheduled to be alongside of him was Mark Mortensen with the number 1M. Mark will hustle up and join the field on the backstretch. 8 laps the distance. Top 5 cars will redraw for starting spots for tonight's Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman 25 lapper as part of tonight's River Rage program. Field getting ready to come to the Sunoco start zone between the Insinger Performance banners in turn 4, and the first green flag of the evening is in the air. Brad Mortensen will lead the pack off turn number 2. Schaefer moving into second. Looks like it'll be Konselman in third, followed by Constantino in the number 4 spot. Ballestero in early 5th as they work their way through turn number 4 here at the conclusion of lap number 1. Battle side by side for that 3rd spot going into turns 1 and 2. Constantino able to grab the spot away. Ballestero will duck down to the inside of Konselman. And here comes Chad Edwards. Edwards on the move already here in the early going, trying to pick himself up a redraw spot as he works inside of the Konselman number 5D. And off turn number 4, he will slot himself up into the number 5 position as a pair of ones lead at the head of the class. Brett Mortensen with a pretty comfortable lead right now from the Schaefer 1H in second. Constantino in third. Edwards now battling with the 27 of Ballestero, tucks it on the low side, working through turn number 4. We complete lap number 3 of the 8-lap distance. You can keep track of the laps here on site by checking out the Yerkowitz Auto Crushers lap counters in turn 1 and in the middle of the infield. Edwards down on the low side in turn number 3, still trying to get by Ballestero, who's hanging tough. Plenty of moisture on that outside lane to keep the momentum up, and they will go door to door under the cross flags for the halfway point. Gray in the number 25 trying to insert himself into the mix now here as well, and it turns into a battle for the final transfer spot with Gray on the inside with that number 25, and the 27 of Ballestero now going a little bit wide in turn number 4. That's enough for Gray to slip by to get into that final redraw position as Edwards works on the DKM-sponsored number 7 of Constantino for third as they head up into turn number 3. Edwards staying on the bottom of the racetrack. Constantino pushing a little cushion there coming through turn number 4. Meanwhile, race leader Brett Mortensen getting the 2-to-go signal, followed by the Schaefer 1H. About a half a straightaway lead right now for Brett Mortensen over the rest of the field as he will come to the white flag this time. Edwards backing up a little bit from the Constantino number 7 here as they go nose to tail through turn number 4, right into your living room on FloRacing down the front chute. Gray and Edwards fighting it out for the 4th and 5th positions as they work their way down the backstretch. Race leader Brett Mortensen will bring his car down off turn number 4. He will pick up the win in the first Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman Heat Race. Schaefer finishes second, followed by Constantino, then Gray in 4th. Edwards will round out the redraw cars, finishing in 5th. And then the cars that will start behind the redraw cars, the 27 of Ballestero, the 5C of Konselman, the 74 of Perry, and the 2K of Kalkbrenner, the 1M of Mortensen. Mark pulled off the racing surface a couple laps before that one finished up. Qualifying event number 2 for the Swagger Factory Apparel Crate 602 Sportsman will feature Tyler Pete out of Lake Ariel, Pennsylvania, coming from pole with the 12T. On the outside, Bobby Reinhart from Charleston, New York with the 618. Row 2 on the inside, Tanner Warner with the 78 out of Gloversville. Outside, Clayton Dumont's 314. He is out of Rotterdam Junction. Row 3 on the inside, that'll be Rocco Constantino out of Fonda with the 44. Butch Irwin with Climax with 117 outside that row. Row 4 on the inside should be Mason Gray with the number 26 out of Fort Plain. To his outside, AJ Greco out of Sprakers with the 12 AJ. And then rounding out the field will be the number 89. That'll be Dylan Madsen out of Spencertown. So again, 8 laps the distance. Top 5 cars will go to the redraw for starting positions. Great Sportsman, utilizing the GM 602 crate motor, American Racer tires on all 4 corners. Same chassis as the 358 modifieds that you'll see coming up with their pair of qualifying heats next. Great Sportsman presented here at Fonda by Swagger Factory Apparel. All gas, no brakes. At Swagger Factory Apparel, they bring you top-notch race gear crafted with precision and style, providing racers with premium products with 30 years in the industry. Learn more at swaggerfactory.com. So we'll be coming to the green flag when they hit the Sunoco start zone between those Insinger Performance banners on the inside of turn number 4. Again, top 5 will redraw for starting positions for tonight's 25-lap Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman feature event. So Tyler Pete and Bobby Reinhardt will bring him down here through turn number 4. They hit the Sunoco start zone. Joe Chris waves the green. And through turn number 2, Pete jumps out to the early advantage. Mason Gray working the outside there, winds up at the back of the line as they head up into turn number 3. Good start for the 78 of Tanner Warner. So he was able to slip past Reinhardt, move into the number 2 spot. Battle early on for the final transfer position coming off turn number 4 is Greco. To the outside of veteran Butchie Irwin in the number 117. Irwin with the 117 keeps it running on the down low off turn number 2. Greco trying to wind up the momentum in that GM 602 crate engine car on the outside here. Coming into turn number 3, he'll step up alongside Irwin for a moment. Irwin gives him a little hip check coming off turn number 4 as Dumont takes a peek to the inside of Reinhardt for the number 3 spot. And here comes Dylan Madsen, feature winner on opening day here, which was on a Wednesday in April. And the number 89 car not into a redraw spot just yet, but looking for one as they roll through turn number 4. Still Tyler Pete holding on to the lead over the Tanner Warner number 78. Greco wide in turn number 2, but pulls the momentum off the second corner and down the backstretch. That'll put him into that final redraw spot ahead of Irwin, with Madsen only about a car length behind them as they roll through turn number 4. We're halfway through, 4 laps down, 4 left to go. Irwin and Greco continue to run side by side going into turns 1 and 2. Irwin coming out on top. They'll roll into turn number 3. Irwin opens up about a car length advantage. Greco trying to come back on the outside here as they carry down off turn number 4. Dumont again taking a look to the inside of the Reinhardt machine as they carry through turns 1 and 2. It'll be 2 to go for race leader Tyler Pete when he rolls down off turn number 4. He's opened up a pretty comfy margin here of about 3 to 3.5 seconds over the 78 of Tanner Warner in that runner-up position. Scrap for that final redraw spot continues here. Madsen thought about making it 3 wide with Irwin and Greco going down the backstretch. It turns into a side-by-side race as the white flag waves for Pete on the right side of your screen. Greco continuing to stay committed to that top lane. Madsen taking the shorter distance, cuts down in front here, going into turns 1 and 2. Still out of a redraw spot, tags up behind the Irwin 117. Coming off turn number 4, Tyler Pete going to come to the checkered flag and pick up the win in the second Swagger Factory Apparel Crate 602 Sportsman Heat. Tanner Warner will finish in the runner-up spot. Race for the rest of the redraw spots. Third will go to Reinhardt. Dumont fourth. Irwin will hold off Madsen for the number 5 position. So that means Madsen will likely wind up starting in the 12th starting spot in the field as the 6th place finisher here in the second and final heat race. But it is Tyler Pete getting the win. So Pete, Warner, Reinhardt, Dumont, and Irwin will go to the redraw, followed by Madsen, Greco, Constantino, and Gray. 358 modified, heat number 1 of 2. Top 4 finishers will redraw for starting spots in tonight's 358 modified feature. Canaan, New Hampshire's Walt Hammond comes from the front row with the 77H. Outside the front row in the Killer Crate 97 out of East Greenbush, that'll be Bobby Hackle the 4th with the 97H. Row 2 on the inside, the 3J, Mark Johnson from Guilderland. And on the outside, Chris Curtis from East Canaan, Connecticut with the number 35. Third row on the inside, the BPI sponsored number 71 is Eric Mack out of Fort Johnson. On the outside out of Berryville, it's Troy Zillis with the 14Z. Row 4 on the inside from Lake Pleasant, that'll be Tucker O'Connor with car number 42. And on the outside from Canajoharie, familiar Fonda face, Brian Pesolato with the 44P. The final row, starting on the inside of that row, another familiar face, Tony Ferrone out of Rotterdam with the number 18. And from Amsterdam, Brendan Gibbons with the B24 will complete the starting field. So I'll take a lap around here just to pack in that outside lane a little bit. We'll get the white flag here, and the field will go ahead and double up. Again, 8 laps the distance for these 358 cubic inch modifieds. With the 30 overbore, big 4-barrel carburetors bolted on the top of these, running Sunoco race fuel. Tonight they are running Hoosier tires as per the Can-Am Speedway rule book from up in the North Country, where the 358s are a Friday night headliner. 358s will return here as part of the Hondo Classic weekend on Saturday, July the 26th, here at the Track of Champions. So it'll be Hammond and Hackle. Sounds like a law firm, but it's actually the front row of the field coming to the Sunoco start zone here. In turn number 4, they hit the loud pedal and we go green. Hackle will grab the early advantage off turn number 2. Hammond sliding in behind into second. Curtis to third. Mark Johnson to fourth. And as they roll down into turns 3 and 4 to complete lap number 1, the battle will be on for the number 2 spot. Door open on the inside. Curtis getting up alongside Hammond. They sweep down into the turns. Gibbons has worked his way out to 5th. Door open for Mark Johnson now as Johnson slides to the inside of Hammond in turn number 2. That'll bump him up into the 3rd position. Gibbons now going to work on Hammond. His car squirrel dogs a little bit coming off turn number 4, and that allows the 14 to close the gap on him as they roll through turns 1 and 2. Headed down the backstretch into turn number 3. Zillis in that number 14 trying to get up into a redraw spot, trying to get ahead of the Hammond machine as Hackle leads by about a third of a straightaway over Curtis here with 3 laps complete. They carry back through turns 1 and 2. Mark Johnson working on the Curtis number 35 for the 2 spot, separated by about 2 car lengths as they work their way in between turns 3 and 4. Halfway through, 4 down, 4 to go. Your leaders on the right-hand side of the screen. Battle a little further back in the field there as O'Connor trying to draw in on the Zillis machine off turn number 2 and down the backstretch. Gibbons back there behind the O'Connor number 42, and then further back in the field are Mack, the 44 of Pesolato, and the 18 of Tony Ferrone. Back on turn number 2, Curtis in that DRD-sponsored number 35 car, the orange, black, and white numbered entry, makes his way through a little bit of the rough stuff there in turn number 4. Comes to the 2 to go signal here with a pretty healthy margin now over Mark Johnson in the number 2 position. Then Godzilla's in the number 14, who is right now holding on to the final redraw spot, Hammond holding on to the final redraw spot with the 77H. Then the Zillis number 14, one out of a redraw spot in the 5th position as the white flag will wave here. So checkers will wave off turn number 4. Bobby Hackle the 4th brings the Killer Crate 97 off the final corner to the checkers. He will pick up the win here in the first team race for the 358s. Curtis finishes 2nd. Johnson grabs 3rd. The other Johnson, Walt Hammond, picking up the 4th spot, not to be confused with Walter Hammond Jr., who will be in heat race number 2 coming up. And then Zillis rounds out the top 5. So Hackle the 4th, Curtis Johnson, and Walt Hammond will go to the redraw. Zillis, Tucker O'Connor, Brendan Gibbons, Eric Mack, Brian Pesolano, and Tony Ferrone complete the starting field as the finish order for heat race number 1. Heat race number 2 for the 358 modifieds will go away with the 4 of Anthony Perego out of Walden. On the pole, outside the front row, will be Tanner Warner for Gloversville with the CT-sponsored number 97. Row 2 on the inside, and the Mickles Automotive 2RJ, that is Ronnie Johnson. Ronnie won one of our big block modified Dave Lee Memorial Twin 22s Saturday night here at the Fonda Speedway. Brian Calabrese with the Ingram Engines number 21C will be outside the second row. He's out of Johnstown. Third row on the inside, Joey Scarborough from Brandon, Vermont with car number 11 VT. To his outside from Teresa, New York, the 31. That is Lance Willix, North Country Invader. Row 4 on the inside out of Canaan, New Hampshire, Walter Hammond Jr. with the 88H. And to the outside from Ephrata will be the car 61. That is Dale Gray. And then your final starter on the field will be the number 76 of Chip Constantino in the Palmer service car. He is out of Perth. Again, 8 laps the distance. Top 4 finishers will redraw for starting positions for tonight's 30-lap 358 modified feature. All right, so the field is formed up, ready to go. They'll look for the green at the Sunoco start zone in turn number 4. Online Performance Parts Stone Motorsports Street Stock 6-lap heat race will be next. Then we'll have our first feature event of the evening with the Fonda Fair 4-cylinder division. Green flag waves off turn number 4. We're underway in our second 358 modified heat race. Calabrese with a nice tuck underneath the Tanner Warner 97 brings RJ along for the ride into second and third. They're all chasing Anthony Perego as they go down into turn 3 for the first time at full song and work down off turn number 4. So it is Perego leading lap number 1 by a couple of car lengths over Calabrese, followed by RJ in third, Tanner Warner in fourth, and Lance Willix in early fifth with the number 31 going down the backstretch and into turn number 3. He's about 5-6 car lengths off the pace of your Warner number 78, 79 cars. They make their way down the front stretch, or Warner number 97, I should say. Willix getting close here, looking for a move on the inside in turn number 2 as we look at the space between the top 3 here. There's that battle for that final redraw spot. Warner occupying it right now with the number 97. Willix trying to drop down to the inside here off turn number 4 and pick off that position as they roll into turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, Calabrese trying to hunt down Perego within a car length of him, gets closer, almost knocking at the back door now, going into turn number 3 in a race for the lead now as we will come to the cross flags. 4 down, 4 left to go. Back through turn number 2, Perego able to gap out as Calabrese has a little slip up off turn number 2. That allows RJ Ronnie Johnson to close back up, but Calabrese mashing the gas there in between turns 3 and 4. He gaps by about a car length or so on RJ as they come back down the front stretch, continuing to chase the Perego number 4 through turns 1 and 2. Tanner Warner maintaining the 4th spot. That's the final redraw position. Willix sitting in the 5th position. We'll come to the 2 to go signal this time by RJ again drawing back in on the 21C of Calabrese. They work their way through turn 2 and down the backstretch. About a 4 car length gap between Calabrese and Perego. Calabrese trying to narrow it down a little bit, but Perego a little bit cleaner line that time coming through turn number 4 to the white flag. Maintains the advantage. final lap here in our final 358 modified heat race of the evening. Down into turn number 3 by about 2 car lengths. Borrego continues to hang on to the advantage, and he'll bring it off turn number 4 and grab the heat race win. Calabrese finishes second. Ronnie Johnson will take third. Tanner Warner will take the final redraw spot, followed by Willix, the 11 BT of Scarborough. And it's the 88 of Hammond and the 76 of Constantino who will complete the field. So Borrego, Calabrese, Johnson, and Warner will go to the redraw. Willix, Scarborough, Hammond Jr., Constantino, and Gray will complete the field. All right, a little full fender frenzy now with our online performance parts. Stone Motorsports Street Stock 6-lap heat race getting the 1-to-go signal as they come down the front stretch. Matt Mosher out of Queensbury with the 91. We'll have Rob Van Arnhem out of Johnstown with the 71 outside the front row. Row 2 will be a couple of cars with the aftermarket bodies on them. The 39 Matt Wells out of Johnstown and the 24V Jason Samrov out of Gloversville. Then it's Lou Gansers out of North Adams, Mass with the number 8 that will complete the field. Straight stocks running under the Albany Saratoga Speedway rule set for tonight. Our Fonda Fair 4-cylinder feature event scheduled for 15 laps is already staged on pit road. That'll be coming up at the conclusion of this heat race. So the field comes to the Sunoco start zone down here in turn number 4. Joey Chris looking him over, throws the green flag. And the online performance part, Stone Motorsports Street Stocks off and running as they head down into turns 1 and 2. Van Arnhem will come out with the early advantage as the number 91 of Mosher. I think he's got either a flat tire or something broke on the car as he pulled up wide in turn number 2, and he is just coasting along slowly. Looks like he's going to clear that car onto pit road. Meanwhile, the rest of the pack coming off turn number 4. Race for the lead. Sam Robb will look down to the inside of Van Arnhem as they go to turns 1 and 2. Wells about 2 car lengths behind in third. Then Gansar is a little bit further back in the 4th position. The 71 of Van Arnhem riding the cushion here, coming off turn number 4. Samrov maintaining the runner-up position, but only about a car length or so behind. Van Arnhem goes a little wide in turns 1 and 2. Samrov stays in the racing lane down there. Off turn number 2, executes the pass. Let's see if he can lock it down. He does, going into turn number 3. So Samrov jumps up into the race lead. We'll come to the cross flags this time. We'll have 3 down, 3 left to go. Van Arnhem, little squirrely there off turn number 4. Loses a little bit of ground to the Samrov number 24. As Wells continues to run third and Gansars runs in the 4th spot. They head back down the back stretch. We come back into turn number 3 and Samrov now opening up the gap here on the Van Arnhem number 71. Little difference in the newer school street stock that is a lot of the aftermarket body in the form of the Samrov car. Same type of body utilized on the leather stocky Credit Union Pro stocks. Van Arnhem, a more traditional full fendered street stock based on a full factory framed car. Monte Carlo, probably in a former life. Van Arnhem, even though that car may have a little bit of age, it's definitely quick as he's not letting Samrov get too far away as the white flag will wave here. So final lap underway for the online performance parts Stone Motorsports Street Stock Heat Race here this evening. And the checkers will be waving here off turn number 4. So Samrov will bring it down to the checkered flag and pick up the victory. Van Arnhem will finish in 2nd. Wells will take 3rd. And the 08 of Gansars will complete the field of online performance parts Stone Motorsports Street Stocks. So with that, all of our qualifying heat races draw to a conclusion. All right, the Fonda Fair 4-cylinder division. getting ready for their 15-lap feature event. And here's the way they will line up for this one. The 33D, Kerry Hollenbeck on the front row with the 47S of Bruce Little. D, by the way, signifies dual overhead cam. S signifies single overhead cam. The 29 JD of John Ray and the 97 JD, Jay Ingersoll, one of the winners from Saturday night's Fonda Fair four-cylinder race, make up row number 2. Row 3 on the inside, Ken Hollenbeck with the 12S and the Stephen Burka 8S outside that row. Then it's the 26D of Len St. Andrews and the 54S of Wayne Russell Jr. as row number 4. Scheduled for row number 5 should be the 77S of Zach McSpirit and the Ariana Schultz number 11D. Then we'll have the 14RD of Jordan Ryder and the 212S of TJ Marlett scheduled for row number 6. Final starter in the field should be the 777S of Sean Hemstreet. One car stalled trying to get out on the racetrack, and now it looks like, well, almost everybody will be able to make their way around. One car stopped at the top here at turn number 4, might just be waiting for the field to cycle around to jump on at the tail. Fonda Fair four cylinders will be in action Saturday night along with the Amsterdam Truck Center Modifieds, Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman, Leather Stocking Credit Union Pro Stocks, and the Montgomery County Office for Aging Limited Sportsman. We joined this Saturday night by our friends from Holmes and Kugler Towing for our $10 admission retro night. You can find out all the updated schedule information and whatnot, by the way, by going to our website, thefondaspeedway.com. You can also like Fonda Speedway on Facebook. Great way to get your race day updates if weather might be an issue. You can also find us at Fonda Speedway on X and Instagram. So it looks like the 777, I believe that was, either that or the 77 of McSpirit was the car getting pushed by the four-wheeler headed down the backstretch. Looks like we'll bring the field around here behind the FX Caprera pace truck. Thanks to FX Caprera once again for providing our pace truck. Longtime supporters of motorsports, also our Victory Lane sponsors here at the Fonda Speedway. All right, field formed up in rows of 2, lights out on the FX Caprera pace truck. Hollenbeck in the black car, Little in the yellow car on the front row. Ready to bring the field down to the green flag. We'll crown single and dual overhead cam winners in FX Caprera Victory Lane on our checkerboard square down here inside the front stretch at the conclusion of this 15-lap contest. And we go green off turn number 4. Fonda Fair four-cylinder frenzy is off and running. Kerry Hollenbeck jumps out to the early advantage over Little with Ingersoll in early third. Burka working the outside here with that black number 8 in fourth, followed by Ken Hollenbeck. And then you've got the John Ray 29J on the inside there. Ingersoll battling Riddle for second on the left side of your screen as they come through turn number 4. Lap number 1 will be led by Kerry Hollenbeck, but here comes Ingersoll. And there goes Ingersoll, taking the elevator to the top floor in turns 1 and 2, gets up in the fluff. Gets back down in the racing lane off turn number 2. That is a very pretty number 97 machine that the Ingersoll team has put together. And he'll move to the outside in his dual overhead cam machine to take over the overall race lead from the Hollenbeck 33. The 47 of Riddle rolling along in third. Ken Hollenbeck battles Burka for the 4th spot through turn number 1. And Hollenbeck looking to the inside of Burka as those pair work their way down the back stretch and toward turn number 3 with a side-by-side race. Hollenbeck scooting through on the inside of the Burka machine. So Ken Hollenbeck moving up into the number 4 position for the moment as we complete lap number 3. One car slow at the top of turn number 2, and we may see our first caution flag of the evening wave, and yes, the yellow lights do come on. Looks like that is the TJ Marlett 212S. That was the car in trouble. Came to a stop, and somehow miraculously is going once again. Car may have jumped out of gear. So we will get the 1 to go signal here. Go ahead and double the field back up. 3 of 15 laps complete. Ingersoll the leader, Hollenbeck second, Carey, Hollenbeck Ken in third, Riddle in fourth, and the single overhead cam car of Wayne Russell Jr., the Adam Petty tribute car, as he likes to call that, sits back in the number 5 position for the restart. Field gets the green flag, back underway for the Fonda Fair 4 cylinders. And once again, Kerry Hollenbeck clicking on the draw, takes the lead from Ingersoll going into turn number 1. Ken Hollenbeck moves ahead of Riddle, so the top 3 all dual overhead cam cars right now. Or actually, I should say that Ken Hollenbeck is a single overhead cam car. And we've got a car in trouble in turn number 2. That'll be the 14 RD of Jordan Ryder. So the safety crew and the Johnson's towing machine all headed out there, but looks like Ryder going to be able to turn it around under his own power here. Make his way back out onto the racing surface. We'll take a look at what happened courtesy of the FloRacing replay. He was trying to get down there underneath the 777 and got down on the grass there in turn number 2. Back end slipped, and he tagged one of the barricades around the light pole down there on the inside of turn number 2. So yellow flag staying out there, just double checking over there in turn number 2 to make sure that's a safe situation over there where the barricade got slightly jostled. And the 33 of Hollenbeck deemed to have jumped the last restart, so the Kerry Hollenbeck machine will drop back to second. It will be single file. 2 cautions on the same lap means that the subsequent restart is single file. Still on lap number 3 of the 15 scheduled here for the Fonda Fair 4 cylinders. Good start this time for the pack off turn number 4. We're back underway in our Fonda Fair 4-cylinder feature. And it's Ingersoll gapping the Kerry Hollenbeck number 33 off turn number 2. Ken Hollenbeck slotting into the number 3 spot. Riddle in 4th. Burka has worked his way back up to 5th. Also coming up through the field of Sean Hemstreet. That's that black 777 with the blue numbers on it on the inside of the Burka car coming through turns 3 and 4. Meanwhile, Ken Hollenbeck looks to get around Kerry Hollenbeck coming off turn number 4 for second overall as they roll into turn number 1. Meanwhile, Ingersoll on a Wednesday night cruise, comfortably leading by about a third of a straightaway over this battle for the second position. Ken Hollenbeck looking to the outside of Kerry, coming off turn number 4. Ken letting her eat off the outside lane, trying to pull some speed and momentum here, and pulls the outside move with authority going into turn number 1. So that'll put Ken Hollenbeck up into the runner-up position and will be the top running single overhead cam cars. Ingersoll is a dual overhead cam entry. The 11D of Ariana Schultz going down a lead lap, down a lap to the lead pace. Coming off turn number 4, some battling a little further back here as Russell and Burka go at it going into turns 1 and 2. With 6 laps complete, we're going to stack them 3 wide for a moment over there in turn number 2. Hemstreet down there on the inside, but Russell definitely uses the slower car of Schultz for a little pick and roll action going down the back stretch to pull away. Burka to the outside of Hemstreet as Ingersoll continues to hold on to the lead over Ken Hollenbeck and Kerry Hollenbeck, followed by Little in 4th, and piece of debris in turn number 4 is going to bring out the caution flag here, 1 lap shy of the halfway point. So the caution flag coming out, piece of debris picked up over in the turn number 4 area by the Fonda Speedway safety team. And we'll come around, get a 1 to go signal, 7 of 15 complete, which means we will double back up for this restart. Mark your calendars for the 184th annual Fonda Fair right here at the Fonda Speedway and Fairgrounds, August 27th through September 1st of 2025. You can visit thefondafair.com or like Fonda Fair on Facebook for the complete schedule of events and activities. So the pack comes back into the Sunoco start zone off turn number 4. They'll roll down into turns 1 and 2, and Ken Hollenbeck apparently got the better of the 97 of Ingersoll on the start. So we're going to wave the yellow and have to restack and re-rack. So we will double back up here for a restart. Try to do it a little bit cleaner this time. The leader does have to fire first. Hollenbeck playing maybe a little gamesmanship here. All right, one more time. Let's see if we can get it right here. Up through the gears they come. We are back to green. That was a clean start, and this time it's Hollenbeck taking the lead from Ingersoll as they run through turn number 2. Ingersoll trying to build the momentum back up to try to get by Ken Hollenbeck. Kerry Hollenbeck, meanwhile, maintains the 3rd position. So Ken Hollenbeck leads him through turn number 2. Ingersoll about 1 car length back. Now Ingersoll gets the run down the backstretch on the Hollenbeck number 12. Pulls up to the outside here in turn number 3. They're going to go side by side for the race lead. And it looks like Ingersoll pushing a little bit off turn number 4, but carries the speed, carries the momentum, and takes the lead now on lap number 9. So Ingersoll goes back up OTP on the point. Hollenbeck drops back to 2nd. Kerry Hollenbeck in 3rd. Bruce Little still hanging on to 4th, and Wayne Russell in there for the number 5 spot, battling with Little for the 4th position. 5 laps left to go. Ingersoll really starting to leg it out now as we hit the final few laps of this Fonda Fair 4-cylinder feature. And it looks like trouble again in turn number 2 for the 212 of TJ Marlett. And that will again bring out the caution flag, this time with 11 laps complete. And I believe the Marlett car was invited to watch the rest of this one from the pits. Four laps remain in this Fonda Fair 4-cylinder feature. And they're back on the gas here, coming off turn number 4. Once again, Hollenbeck quicker on the restart, but Ingersoll coming up through the gears will have the preferred race lane going into turns 1 and 2. And pulls away by a couple of car lengths here as they roll into turn number 3. Kerry Hollenbeck still in 3rd, Little in 4th, Russell in 5th, Burka in 6th. Looks like Jay back in the number 7 position on the tail end of the lead line here with 3 laps left to go. There's the gap between Ingersoll and Ken Hollenbeck as Jay brings that 97 car around through turn number 4. We look back on the left side of the screen at the race for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Kerry Hollenbeck in the black 33 still maintaining the 3rd spot here with 2 laps to go. Little in the 47 battling with the Russell 54S for 4th. And it looks like Jay with the number 29 calls it a race as he tucks down into the infield. White flag will wave for the Ingersoll car now, coming off turn number 4. And the checkers will wave for Jay Ingersoll. So Ingersoll picks up the win, top finishing dual overhead cam car. Ken Hollenbeck, the top finishing single overhead cam car in 2nd. Looks like Kerry Hollenbeck faded at the end, lost to top 5, so that'll put Little up to 3rd, Russell into 4th, and Burka will round out the top 5 finishers. So congratulations to Jay Ingersoll in that Palmer's number 97 J, picking up the overall feature event win for the Fonda Fair 4 cylinders. The car down there in FX Cabrera Victory Lane. So let's go down to Mimi.
Thanks, Paul, down here with the Fonda Fair 4-cylinder dual cam winner. Let's give him a round of applause. He's taking his steering wheel off. He's got his Bob Hilbert hat on. Let's hear it for him. Jay Ingersoll takes home the dual cam win here tonight for the River Rage event here at Fonda Speedway. Giving Kenny his hat. Jay, man, I dare I say, was that fun? Was that not fun? I mean, it looked like a mixture of both.
It was real fun. The restarts I did not like, but I don't know, it was fun. I got to say, we're all thinking of Rocky today. I saw the news today and started off racing with him, and my thoughts are with him and his family, and I hope for a speedy recovery.
Absolutely. I didn't want to mention anything in pre-race, but if you're wondering what's going on with Rocky, check out his Facebook page. That'll tell you everything you need to know. Jay, what's up on your restarts? You seem like you're kind of sluggish a little bit, but once you get going, is it the gear you have in this?
Yeah, I think it is. It doesn't want to take off, but once it starts rolling, it does. And I tried to keep up the pace a little, and it bit me in the butt. So it is what it is. We'll figure it out.
Absolutely. Who are you going to thank here tonight?
Carol at Ellen Palmer Service, JBHI, Bonded ASP, Stark Industries, Round Lake Auto, DKM. My wife, because my mother yelled at me last time because I didn't thank her. Brady Hauser, Jeff, and Brittany. That's it.
All right, Jay, congratulations on your win here tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, folks, give him another round of applause. Jay Ingersoll takes home the dual cam Fonda Fair 4-cylinder win here tonight. We're going to come on over here to Old Faithful, the defending track champion, Ken Hollenbach in the single cam division. Ken, I'm going to say the same thing to you. I said to Jay, man, it looked like 1 minute it might be fun, and the next minute not so much.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. The track's really phenomenal this year, I have to admit, compared to the beginning of last year. So, and I'm healthier, so hopefully I'll be here.
That's great, and I'm glad to see you here. Glad you're feeling better. Who do you got? I know you got a bunch of people behind you to thank here tonight.
I gotta thank. It's kind of strange. A guy broke down in front of my house today. He goes, "Here's $100 to get in." So Bill Yerkowitz, Forbes Automotive, Converter Recovery, KKH Auto Sales, and Hollenbeck Brothers, and that's about it.
Are we going to see you here the rest of the year?
I'm gonna try. It depends. I got a couple things coming up I got to go to, and we'll see how I make out.
All right, Ken, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, folks, give him another round of applause. Ken Hollenbach takes home the single cam Fonda Fair 4-cylinder win here tonight. Again, Jay Ingersoll takes home the dual cam win. Let's give our winners one more round of applause. Paul, I'm going to send it back up to you.
All right, and it is last call for the 50-50, folks. Last call for the 50-50. We'll do a little track prep here and give you a chance to stretch your legs, grab some food or beverage from the Fonda concession stands. maybe grab that final 50-50 ticket before the sales close up for the night. Our remaining features coming up will include the 358 modifieds and their headline 30-lapper, followed by our Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman, and in the online performance part, Stone Motorsports Street Stocks. For those of you watching on FloRacing, we'll step aside for these commercial messages. Welcome back to those of you watching on FloRacing here at the Fonda Speedway. Our River Rage 358 modified 30-lap feature event is lined up on pit road, getting ready to come out on the racetrack here in just a moment as the Packer trucks have gone out and packed down that outside groove to open up the outside racing lane a little bit. By virtue of the redraw for starting positions, we have a starting lineup, and here's the way they will go away for this one. It is an all Johnson front row in the field by virtue of the redraw. RJ, Ronnie Johnson in the 2RJ will start on the pole. Outside the front row will be the 3J of Mark Johnson. Row 2 on the inside, the 97H Bobby Hackle the 4th, and outside the 97W is Tanner Warner. Row 3 on the inside, Chris Curtis with the 35, and outside Brian Calabrese with the 21C. Then row 4 on the inside is Walt Hammond, 77H. Outside Anthony Perego with car number 4. Rounding out the top 10 starters from 9th, Troy Zillas inside row 5 with the 14Z, and outside that row, the Lance Willits number 31. Then row 6 on the inside, Tucker O'Connor with the 42, to his outside the 11 VT of Joey Scarborough. Row number 7 will be the Brendan Gibbons number B24, and outside Walter Hammond Jr. with the 88H. The 8th row will be Eric Mack with the 71 and Chip Constantino with the Palmer 76. Row 9 will be the Brian Pesolano 44P and the number 61 of Dale Gray. And then rounding out the starting field from the 19th starting position will be the number 18 of Tony Ferrone. All right, field will get the 1-to-go signal when they come by this time, behind the FX Cabrera Fonda Speedway pace truck. And we'll get set to go 30 laps. First appearance since 2018 for the 358 modifieds. They had a pair of races back in 2018. Danny Varon won one of those races. The other race won by Stuart Friesen. And the 358s will be back here on Saturday, July 26th as part of the annual Hondo Classic for the Leatherstocking Credit Union Pro Stocks. All right, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The feature event portion of the program begins with the 358 modifieds. It's time for a little river rage here at the Track of Champions. Ronnie Johnson jumps out to the early advantage with the 2RJ machine, followed by Bobby Hackle, the 4th, slotting into the number 2 spot. Perego drops in 3rd as the field roars off turn number 4. At the end of lap number 1, battle for that number 5 position, and throw for one car on the outside of turn number 4. That will bring out the caution flag here with just one lap complete. That might be the Curtis number 35. No, the Curtis 35 is still out there on the racetrack. That is the 18 of Tony Ferrone. And not sure the front end of that car is sitting quite right for Tony. That right front wheel looks like it's got a little bit of a camber issue. Not sure if that's what befell him, but the caution flag does wave with one lap complete. And the front end really kind of bouncing on the Ferrone number 18 car, so might be a hind joint loose there or something on the front end of the 18 car. We'll see if he takes that car onto pit road or elects to continue from the back of the field. One lap complete. Ronnie Johnson jumped out to the early advantage over Bobby Hackle, the 4th, with the 4 of Perego dropping into the number 3 position. And we'll see if Ferrone elects to stay on the racetrack, working that front end back and forth to see how it feels here. And it looks like we should get the white flag when they come by, so we'll get ready for a restart. It's Chris Curtis scuffing the tires in there, getting a little heat into those Hoosiers. Outside row number 2 with that 35 car. Looks like the 77H of Walt Hammond, one of two Canaan, New Hampshire cars. The Hammonds, father and son, racing out here this evening. So the field formed back up double file. And we'll get ready for a restart. 1 down, 29 to go. Ronnie Johnson picked up the win in one of the Dave Lade Memorial Twin 22s here Saturday night. Alex Jankowski picked up the win in the second one. Johnson had a power steering box blow in the second 22-lapper on Saturday night. Foiled his chances at getting out the broom and sweeping. He'd like to maybe get a little retribution and take a trip back to Checkerboard Square here in FX Caprera Victory Lane tonight. Back into the Sunoco start zone. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway. On the takeoff this time. Oh, bobble for Hackle. That is going to stack the field up in the middle of the pack, and somehow everybody manages to keep it straight. Hackle loses about 2 spots, and the benefactor of that was both Chris Curtis in the 35 and the 4 of Borrego as they were able to sneak their way through. I'm sorry, the 3 of Mark Johnson. The 3J of Mark Johnson able to sneak his way through. Borrego buried in mid-pack, going down to the inside of one of the Hammond cars, going down the backstretch, battling it out with O'Connor and Calabrese there in the midst of it all. As the field roars off turn number 4, so it's Ronnie Johnson, Chris Curtis, and Mark Johnson, your top 3. Having with 4th, Lance Willis, storming up into the number 5 spot now with the number 31. About a straightaway back from the race leader as they start to thin out on the racing surface here, coming through turn number 4 at the conclusion of lap number 4. Top 4 breaking away in the rest of the field. Willis leading the second group from 5th. Looks like one of the Hammond cars in 6th. Brendan Gibbons has worked his way up into 7th. Calabrese is 8th. The second Hammond car is 9th. And Borrego rounds out the top 10 as Calabrese looks to get around Gibbons, opens up the inside lane off turn number 4, and that'll be Lieutenant Warner, number 97, battling down to his inside. So Warner in the CT number 97 will pick up a spot now. That'll move him up into the 8th position, drop Calabrese back into the number 9 spot. Battle for second starting to develop here between Curtis and Mark Johnson on the right-hand side of your screen as Mark Johnson looks on the down low in that S&S sponsored 3J machine. Falls back about a car length behind Curtis as they work through turn number 4. Will complete lap number 7 this time by. Working the front half of tonight's River H 30 lapper for the 358 modifieds here at the Track of Champions. It's been all RJ at the front of the field. And he continues to open up the advantage here coming off turn number 4 by about a second over Curtis with the number 35. And you've got the 3RJ, or excuse me, the 3J of Mark Johnson carrying through in the 3rd spot, followed by Hackle in 4th. They have separated now by about 2/3 of a straightaway over the 31 of Lance Willix, who maintains the number 5 position. Action still a little further back in the top 10 here coming off turn number 4. O'Connor taking a look down here to the inside of Borrego. That's a race for the number 10 position. Give it to O'Connor as Borrego goes wide off turn number 2. O'Connor will go chasing after Calabrese, who continues to sit in the 9th spot, working on Tanner Warner directly in front of him, as well as the Brendan Gibbons, number B24, as we hit the lap 10 mark in tonight's feature event. Dale Gray takes the number 61 car onto pit road, so Gray out of the running here, 5 laps shy of the halfway point. O'Connor continuing to try to work his way up through the field. Not a good entry into turn number 3, but Calabrese steps to the outside here in turn number 4. That allows O'Connor to draw in on him going into turns 1 and 2. Calabrese again going out wide in turn number 2. O'Connor comes down to the inside. They'll go side by side into turn number 3. Meanwhile, a little further back in the field, Tony Ferrone battling it out, trying to stay on the lead lap here. As they work into turns 3 and 4, Ronnie Johnson has caught the back of the field. And there he is, the Ferrone 18 directly in front of them as they head down the front stretch and into turn number 1. So RJ finding the lane blocked here on the inside. That allows Curtis to draw within a couple of car lengths now. Going into turn number 3, Perone steps over the cushion. Johnson rockets his way through. Curtis tried to get through, and the door got slammed shut in his face. He has to check up, and as they come off turn number 4, that's going to put him into the clutches of Mark Johnson for a moment, as we'll hit the halfway point when they come by this time. Johnson looking to clear the Perone car going into turn number 3. Meanwhile, Ronnie Johnson looking to put a lap on Chip Constantino in the number 76 as we hit lap number 15. Looks like the Hammond Jr. number 88H will go down the lap to RJ's pace as Curtis continues to give chase. One car in between the first and second place machines now. No cars between first and second. Curtis with a daring move on the inside in turn number 3. Gets into the back of RJ as they come off turn number 4. And here comes Mark Johnson back into the mix. 16 in, 14 to go. Mark Johnson hunting for the number 2 spot. Can't get it. Curtis drives away as they head into turn number 3. One more lap car here for Ronnie Johnson to try to deal with. Coming off turn number 4 as he tries to make his way by the 76 of Constantino. Can't find the lane to get through. Curtis and Mark Johnson locked in a battle for second and third, and that's allowing Hackle to close the gap from the number 4 spot as the leader continues to work a car at the tail end of the lead lap here, coming off turn number 4. 18 complete, 12 left to go. Constantino in the racing lane, and RJ cannot find a way to get by him. Finally darts to the inside off turn number 2. The caution flag waves. That might be the biggest break of the race for Ronnie Johnson to get him away from that lap car of Constantino. I saw it look like Anthony Parego's car go off the racing surface, so unfortunately for Parego, he drops out here with 12 laps left to go. And things were getting spicy up at the front of the field. Ronnie Johnson could not find a way by the Constantino machine, gets saved by the caution. That's the good news. The bad news is it's going to bunch up the field to give everybody track position back. So caution flag coming out with 12 laps left to go. RJ was off to the races at the front of the field until he got into traffic, and that'll Curtis to close right up. He actually got up into the back end of RJ at one point. Mark Johnson was right there in the hunt with the 3J as well. Hackle is 4th. This will bring Willix back up in 5th. Hammond in 6th. Gibbons in 7th. Warner in 8th. O'Connor in 9th. Calabrese rounding out the top 10. They take care of a situation there in turn number 2. Should get the white flag when they come around this time. A dozen laps left to run. It's a brand new race with the caution flag coming out. So Ronnie Johnson looking for his second win in just 5 days here at the Track of Champions. One in the big block, one in the 358. If he can carry it through the final dozen. Swagger Factory Apparel, Crate 602 Sportsman, and our online performance parts, Stone Motorsports Street Stocks, will wrap up the race night following this 30-lapper. RJ set to fire when they hit the Sunoco start zone here in turn number 4. He's on the gas, and we are back underway with a dozen to go in tonight's 358 modified feature. Curtis cannot stay with RJ on the outside. Hackle tries to fill the bottom in turn number 2. As he gets up ahead going into turn number 3, jumps up as Mark Johnson got a bad restart. He's fighting with Willix now for the number 4 spot off turn number 4 and seems to be going backwards instead of forwards. He's showing some sparks coming out of the right rear corner of that 3J machine. Just a hint of it, but a couple of sparks showing that time when it came down the front stretch. So Mark Johnson falling out of contention for the moment here. Will have to try to work his way back up through the field as Ronnie Johnson pulls away with 10 laps to go from the Hackle 97. So now runs in second. Curtis way over the cushion in turn number 2. Bouncing through the rough stuff. That allows Lance Willix to draw in on him in a battle for third as they roll through turns 3 and 4. Lap number 21 goes on. 9 laps left to go. Curtis in the 35 now pulling away from Willix. Mark Johnson has settled in the number 5 position. Brendan Gibbons trying to close the door there on the Hammond number 77, looking to pick up the number 6 spot. Walt Hammond holding on to that 6th position here for the moment. Calabrese in 7th, Tanner Warner 8th. Ryan Pesolano trying to crack the top 10 here as well with the number 44P here in the late going. Here comes Tanner Warner. Nice run off turn number 2 as he closes back in on Calabrese. The two of them have been fighting it out tooth and nail back there around the 7th, 8th, and 9th positions for a good portion of this contest. 24 laps down, 6 laps left to go. And the high sign coming up from starter Joe Chris, this time by for Ronnie Johnson. 5 laps left to go for RJ to go back to victory lane here at the Track of Champions. Calabrese continues to hold off Tanner Warner in that race that is now for the 6th and 7th positions behind Walt Hammond, who rounds out the top 5. Mark Johnson in 4th, Willix in 3rd. I stand corrected. It is Curtis leading Johnson 2nd, Hackle 2nd. Willix in 4th, and Mark Johnson in 5th. Timing and scoring resets for us here. 2 laps left to go for your race leader. So Ronnie Johnson could be on his way to his 2nd trip to checkerboard square in 5 days here at the Fonda Speedway. In tonight's River Rage for the 358 Modifieds. They'll see the white flag when it comes off turn number 4 this time. Hackle continues to run second, about 5 or 6 car lengths back. RJ will just catch up to the Walt Hammond Jr. 88H at the back of the field here, but shouldn't be a factor. And as they come off turn number 4, it'll be RJ Ronnie Johnson holding on by 2 car lengths to claim the win over Hackle. Curtis will finish 3rd. Lance Willix takes 4th. Mark Johnson in for 5th. Walt Hammond will take 6th. Calabrese 7th. Tanner Warner in 8th. 9th spot looks like it'll be Gibbons, and Brian Pesolano will round out the top 10. So once again, the top 10, Ronnie Johnson picking up his 2nd win in 5 days here at Fonda. Bobby Hackle the 4th in 2nd, Chris Curtis 3rd, Lance Willix 4th, Mark Johnson 5th, followed by Walt Hammond 6th, Brian Calabrese 7th, Tanner Warner 8th, Brendan Gibbons 9th, and Brian Pesolano rounding out your top 10. So for the first time since 2018, the 358 Modifieds tear it up here at the Track of Champions, and it is RJ Ronnie Johnson who comes away victorious. He'll cross the scales down in the infield to make his way down to FX Caprera Victory Lane. We'll have our Victory Lane presentations coming up here in just a moment. And then we'll have tonight's Swagger Factory Apparel Crate 602 Sportsman feature. Then we'll wrap up the night with the Online Performance Parts Stone Motorsports Street Stock feature. All right, RJ clearing the scales. Next stop, a place he knows well here, as does his legendary dad, the late great Jumpin' Jack Johnson, who we honored at our season opener, which was also on a Wednesday night back in April. So I'll bring it down here to FX Caprera Victory Lane. Steering wheel already off, gets a handshake from starter Joe Chris. And we will go down to FX Cabrera Victory Lane, where Mimi is standing by to talk to our winner, Ronnie Johnson.
Paul, I'm not sure if you shot it down to me yet or not, but we're down here in Victory Lane. Ronnie Johnson winning for the first time at 358 here at Fonda Speedway. As Paul mentioned, coming off a win here Saturday night. Let's give him a big round of applause. Ronnie Johnson, RJ, takes home the win here tonight for the River Rage. Ron, shake my hand. Good to see you up here in Victory Lane so soon. First, I want to ask you, 358 compared to Big Block here. Much of a difference?
Yeah, quite a bit. You know, the 358, you go around here almost wide open without lifting all the way around here. In the Big Block, you can't do that. But I like racing the 358s. We usually do okay with them, and it was fun tonight.
And what about the tire difference, American Racers compared to Hoosiers? Big difference there when you're out on a surface like tonight, which seems pretty tacky out there tonight.
Yeah, the track was exceptionally good. I don't know if there's much difference. You know, everybody's on Hoosiers, so you don't know the difference. Sure. I think if there was a car out there with American Racers, they might have been a little bit faster, but it was equal for everybody.
It looked like you were kind of trying to stay on the bottom there, keep your car straight as possible. Lap cars seemed to be a little bit of a challenge tonight. Yeah,
you know, it's a little bit marbly. The track wasn't very wide, and I didn't want to jeopardize going up to the top, and I was trying to maybe protect what I have, and if somebody drove around me, so be it, I guess.
Right. Who do you got to thank here tonight, Ron?
My guys, you know, they put up with me and my temper tantrums and some of my stuff, and we work hard. Gary Mickle, he's been with me for 25 plus years now. Chris Persons, Frank Witz, he's been a sponsor of my dad since probably the early to mid-90s. Frank's a great help. Kevlar Racing Engines, just everything was good tonight, and just, you know, my fans, all the fans, a lot of support. Thank you for everybody.
You know, winning Saturday night, winning tonight, is this giving you some momentum going into the rest of the year, let alone this coming weekend?
Hold it, somebody just yelled, Shelly and Nikki, I got to thank them too.
Don't forget the girls.
Yep, they do a good job. Repeat your question.
Momentum into next weekend and the rest of the season, winning here 2 in a row.
Yeah, you know, it seems like we ain't won many races over the last couple of years, so hopefully we can keep this going. Maybe we're on to something here a little bit, and it's not from a lack of effort. We're going to keep trying, and we'll come after it this weekend.
All right, Ron, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, folks, give him another round of applause. RJ takes home the win here tonight for the 358 River Rage. We're going to pull the winning 50-50 ticket. Heather, what are we looking at for a total?
$677.
$677. A very short night here tonight, midweek. It is a green ticket. 355589, 355589, 355589, green ticket. If you are our winner, please report to the office at Gate 2. One more round of applause for our 358 River Rage winner here tonight at Fonda Speedway. Ronnie Johnson takes home the big win.
All right, thanks very much, Mimi, and our congratulations from up here in the tower to Ronnie Johnson. Again, picking up his second win in 5 days and his first win in a 358 modified here at the Track of Champions. 2 more features left to run. We invite you back here on Saturday night as well. As Mimi was mentioning, the Amsterdam Truck Center Modifieds will be back in action, along with the Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman, the Leather Stocking Credit Union Pro Stocks, and the Montgomery County Office for Aging Limited Sportsman, plus the Fonda Fair 4 Cylinders with their Saturday night feature event, all presented by Holmes and Kugler Towing for a $10 grandstand admission this Saturday night. All right, here's the way they are going to line up for tonight's Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman feature. By virtue of the redraw, Butchie Irwin winds up on the pole with the 117. Brett Mortensen, he went earlier tonight with the 1B outside row number 1. Row 2 on the inside, Dave Constantino with the number 7. And to his outside will be Stephen Gray with the number 25. Row 3 on the inside, Tanner Warner with the number 78. And on the outside, it'll be Harry Schaefer with the 1H. Tyler Peets 12T and the Clayton Dumont 314. They're going to make up row number 4. Row 5 will be Bobby Reinhardt with the 618 and the 10% entry of Chad Edwards. Row number 6 will be Michael Ballestero at the 27 and the Dylan Madsen number 89. We go back to row number 7, and that's where we'll find Randy Kosselman's 5C and AJ Greco at the 12AJ. The 74 of Matt Perry and Rocco Constantino's 44. They're going to make up row number 8. The 2K of Mike Kalkbrenner and the Mason Gray 26 in row number 9. And your 19th and final starter on the field will be the number 1M of Mark Mortensen. So that is your starting field. 25 laps the distance here for the Swagger Factory Apparel Crate 602 Sportsman. And then following this, we'll have our online performance parts Stone Motorsports Street Stock feature event. Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman will take a lap or two to run the outside here, just to tamp it down a little bit. FX Caprera Pace Truck leading the field around here under the caution flag.
Cars. Whoop-de-doo.
Field will go ahead and double up now, coming off turn number 4. And the white flag will wave here. So we'll get ready to go 25 trips around the half mile. Swagger Factory Apparel Crate 602 Sportsman. Madsen was the winner on opening day. Chad Edwards was the winner just a few nights ago on Saturday night. All right, so the field hits the Sunoco start zone on turn number 4. Green flag waves. Swagger Factory Apparel Crate 602 Sportsman feature is green. Brett Mortensen jumps out ahead and into the early lead, followed by the gray number 25 as they head down the backstretch. Irwin off the pace a little bit here on the inside in turn number 3, surrenders a couple of spots right off the get-go as he tries to pick up speed here coming off turn number 4. He's way down on the side of the track, and he's going to pull that far down into the infield, and unfortunately for Irwin, he is not able to complete a full lap in this one. And winds up down in the infield and out of the running. So Brett Mortensen will lead the field down off turn number 4 at the end of lap number 2 with Gray in tow. They've already opened up about a half a straightaway on the 78 of Warner, who rolls along in the number 3 spot, followed by Constantino in 4th, Pete in 5th. And your Saturday night winner, Edwards, already up into the number 6 position in the Johnny Collard 10% machine, followed by Madsen. So the two winners in the division so far right now running in the 6th and 7th positions here in the early going of this Swagger Factory Apparel Great Sportsman feature. Tyler Pete battling down to the inside of Constantino. That is a race for 4th and 5th. And then you've got, whoa, look at this. Here comes Edwards on the outside. He decided to take the elevator and punch it to the top floor. See if that top groove is going to work for him, rolling into turns number 1 and 2. Madsen has a little bobble on the bottom there, but tries to stay at pace. Edwards can't get it done on the outside. Tucks back in line about 2 car lengths behind Pete. Now winds it up again this time in turns 3 and 4, trying to get ahead of that red number 12 team machine. Meanwhile, Gray about 2 car lengths off the back end of Mortensen at the head of the class. They've opened up almost a full straightaway on Warner. Back in the 3rd position is now Madsen. Will look down to the inside of Edwards going into turn number 3. This will be a race for the 6th and 7th spot behind your 5th place running car of Tyler Pete as they work their way back down the front stretch. There's the look on the right-hand side of the screen at the race lead as we go split screen here on Flow. Mortensen holding off Gray by a couple of car lengths here as we're about to complete lap number 7. Gray shorter distance through turn number 2 on the inside, but Mortensen with momentum on the outside, maintaining the lead for the moment. It's a pretty precarious lead though, and here's Gray again trying to show a wheel to the inside of Brett Mortensen coming off turn number 4, but Mortensen able to drive away and reopen up about a 2 car length gap. Mortensen staying up on the edge of the dry lane there in turn number 2, looking for some of that moisture where the track was wheel packed just before the start of the feature event. Gray trying to stick that car down on the bottom as they head through the little bumps there in turn number 4. Mortensen actually opening up the advantage here, is actually starting to pull away from Gray, slowly but surely adding about half a car length a lap here as we close in on the completion of lap number 10. Left-hand side of the screen, the battle between Madsen and Edwards for 6th and 7th continues, with Edwards continuing to hold on to the position. Again, he's trying to go where everybody else isn't. He's on the outside, everybody else running down on the bottom lane of the racetrack. But Madsen making a good race with him there into turn number 1. But Madsen had to pinch the car down pretty hard there on the inside in turn number 1. Lost a little bit of forward momentum, and Edwards gets away again by a couple of car lengths as they round through turn number 3. 1 lap shy of the halfway point. Your race leaders going up into turn number 3 as this battle for 5th and 6th goes up into turns 1 and 2. Edwards about 3 car lengths astern of the 12T of Tyler Pete as we close in on the halfway point here in the Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman feature event. Mortensen continues to lead from Gray. Warner is by himself in 3rd. Constantino in 4th. Madsen has gotten ahead of Edwards now and pulled away from Edwards by a few car lengths. So Edwards tried that outside lane and it just wasn't working for him. He ends up dropping back down in the line, and now he's going to have to face a challenge from Mike Ballestero with the number 27, who's starting to draw in behind him. Ballestero running in the 8th spot right now. Harry Schaefer 9th. Clayton Dumont rounding out the top 10. Your leader's about to encounter some traffic going into turn number 3. Race leader Brett Mortensen ducks the car down to the inside here off turn number 4, going underneath the Randy Kosselman 5C, trying to put him down a lap. Gray right there puts a wheel to the inside coming off turn number 2. And the battle for the lead joined in the slower traffic. Kosselman quickly exits stage right. Something wrong with the number 5C. Next car in line to potentially go a lap down will be the Constantino number 44 as this battle for the lead with 9 to go now sees the lead change hands for the first time in the race as Gray successfully gets by Brett Mortensen off the inside of turn number 2. So Gray showing some long run speed here, utilizing the traffic to his advantage, but unfortunately Constantino is in the same lane that that he wants to use. He's going to have to try to find a way to go around him on the outside. Mortensen went a little wide in turn number 1, gave up about 2 car lengths worth of track position to Gray as they continue to work behind the Constantino machine here, rolling through turn number 4. Trying to clear him on the outside. Gray will get up alongside of him. Now closes up on Kalkbrenner. Oh, Kalkbrenner right up there to the outside. Right in front of the race leader coming off turn number 2 as he battles with Reinhardt. Trying to stay on the lead lap. Gray will escape down to the inside as he ducks, dodges, and weaves his way through the traffic here. Closing in on lap number 19. 6 laps to go. Reinhardt almost gets turned by the race leader, Gray. And Gray finally clears going into turn number 1. Mortensen is still in the thick of this battle behind all of them here as they go down the backstretch and into turn number 3. Gray gets away and now really starts to gap it out here as he will come up on the 5 to go signal this time by. And trouble for Brett Mortensen. His machine spins down into the infield grass. And the Jumpin' Jacks drive-in machine, who is running in the lead, all of a sudden finds himself spun down here in the infield, and that brings out the first caution of this Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman feature with 19 of 25 complete. A heartbreak for Brett Mortensen. He will have to fall to the tail of the field, unfortunately. And that will erase Gray's lead. And that will put the Warner number 78 up there into the runner-up position. So Tanner Warner now finds himself in the number 2 spot outside the front row for the restart with 6 to go. Constantino is 3rd in the black DKM number 7. Pete is 4th. Madsen sits back in 5th with Edwards in 6th. Ballestero is 7th. Looks like Schaefer is 8th. The 1B of Mortensen will fall in line as the final car on the lead lap. So a tough break for Brett Mortensen. Looks like Clayton Dumont and Matt Perry making up row number 5, so they round out the top 10 here with 6 laps left to go. And now the Ballestero 27 pulling out a line. And he is headed pit side, so something wrong with the Ballestero machine. Now we are getting ready to go green. 6 laps left to go. Gray gets on the gas coming off turn number 4. Pack charges off turn number 2. Gray opens up about 3 car lengths on Tanner Warner. Going up into turn number 3. Constantino dropping into the 3rd. Madsen now moves himself up into 4th. Edwards gets by Pete as well here on the restart, and he winds up in the 5th spot. Pete trying to come back at him going into turn number 1. They'll go side by side through turn number 2 for a moment, and Pete gets back by the Edwards machine, and Happy Harry Schaefer had a peek there at the Edwards car as well. Meanwhile, Madsen's not done yet. He's looking for the 3rd spot here coming off turn number 4 as it closes up on the Constantino number 7, rolling through turn number 2. And it looks like the Brett Mortensen number 1B machine off the pace here on the outside of turn number 2. Looks like he is going to carry enough speed, though, to be able to limp that car back to pit road with 22 down and 3 remaining. And he's not going to be able to clear in time, so the yellow flag comes out. He may have a flat. He is headed directly behind the wall, so that signifies that by not going to the hot pit that he is apparently done for the evening. All right, so 22 down, just 3 remain. Gray was able to take off, get away from Warner on the restart. Constantino third, Madsen up to 4th. Pete 5th. Edwards back in 6th. And they have got Happy Harry Schaefer in 7th. Followed by Greco in 8th. Dumont in 9th, and Perry rounding out the top 10. All right, so set for the restart, 22 in, 3 left to go. Green flag will wave when Gray fires in the Sunoco start zone here in turn number 4. Tanner Warner staying glued to Gray's back bumper here for the restart. Gets a good takeoff. Gray opens up a little bit of a gap here as they head back into turns 1 and 2. Madsen tries to pounce immediately. Pete goes wide in turns 1 and 2. That's going to allow Edwards to get by, and Schaefer is going to step through as well. So they're both going to advance positions as we come around for the 2 to go signal, this time by. So Gray pulling away from Warner at the head of the class. Constantino withstanding the challenge from Madsen in that race for 3rd and 4th, and Edwards right there with him. But now Edwards fades back a little bit off turn number 2, and Schaefer starts to draw in one car into the backstretch wall. And the white flag will wave here, and I believe we will get a caution flag as well, as one car again piling into the backstretch wall. Safety crew and tow trucks all heading over. That was Clayton Dumond with the 314 that had the unfortunate trouble. Johnson's towing, jumping up there as well, as they'll get hooked up to the 314 machine. Looked like he did the wall grind there, about hit the wall maybe about halfway down the backstretch and just got sucked in and kept it on the wall, maybe just to keep it away from race traffic. A tough break for Dumont, who was running in a top 10 position. All right, so it'll be a 1-lap dash to the checkers. Gray will have to execute the start one more time. And with the retirement of Dumont, that should move the Kalkbrenner machine, I believe, up into the 10th position. So here we go. Green and white wave simultaneously as Gray carries it down the front stretch for the restart. He's down and away by a couple of car lengths into 1 and 2. Constantino looking for the number 2 spot. Warner drives back around him, going down the backstretch. They'll make the run through turns 3 and 4 to the double checkers. Madsen trying to get up alongside Constantino. As the win will go to Gray, Warner will finish second, and Madsen will steal third from Constantino at the line. Edwards rounds out the top 5. Schaefer finishes 6th. Pete in 7th. Greco in 8th. Perry in 9th. And again, it looks like Kalkbrenner rounding out the top 10. So, the third different Swagger Factory Apparel Crate Sportsman race of 2025 produces the third different winner. Dylan Madsen won one, Chad Edwards won one, and now Stephen Gray has won one. And he'll be headed down to the scales and then down to Checkerboard Square and FX Caprera Victory Lane. Final race of the night coming up will be the online Performance Parts Stone Motorsports Street Stock feature. Gray up on the scales here. And here he comes, making his way down to Checkerboard Square and FX Caprera Victory Lane. So again, third different winner in a very competitive Swagger Factory Apparel Crate 602 Sportsman Division here at the Track of Champions. He's definitely got some fans in the stands tonight. He'll get ready to climb out of the car here in just a couple of moments. Getting a chance to catch his breath there after that one-lap shootout to the finish. Let's go down to Checkerboard Square and FX Caprera Victory Lane with Mimi.
Thanks, Paul. Down here with the O'Connor Towing Swagger Factory Sportsman feature winner. Heck of a run by Stephen here today. Let's give him a big round of applause. He deserves it. He ran a heck of a race. Stephen Gray takes home the win here tonight for the River Rage. Should I call you Steve-O? Is that what I should call you?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, Steve-O. Man, heck of a run there tonight. You really worked your butt off and deserved that one.
Yeah, I've been wanting this one for a really long time, and it's been escaping us, and we finally got it done tonight. I had a really good car tonight, and everything worked out in my favor.
You had a really good car tonight. Brett had a great car, too, and you were able to capitalize and get by him. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was catching him early, then I messed up a little bit down there in 3 and 4, and then he got away from me, and then I got him back in lap traffic, and I was able to stick the bottom a little better than he was, and I got him.
Awesome, man. Who do you got to thank here tonight?
Mike and Christy O'Connor, O'Connor Towing, the Oxbow Inn, Ephrata Service Center, H&B, Fastline Performance, Goff, and my entire family.
All right, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Give him another round of applause. Steve-O. Stephen Gray takes home the win here tonight for the River Rage. He didn't say that it's his grandmother's birthday, so shout out to his grandmother. Happy birthday. Paul, back up to you.
All right, Mimi, thanks very much. So one more to go to wrap up the race night